making my soil blocking mix. If I sound weird, I don't know, some kind of upper respiratory cold thing. All right, so it needs to look, this soil needs to look like mashed potatoes, basically. So, add water, and I stir it around. And then I kind of let it absorb. Some people are really on the game and they do this like a whole night ahead of time. I do not ever have time for that. So this is me. This is how I do it. And to me, this looks about right for my soil blocks. I use Fort B, their potting soil mix, and I sift it, and that is what I use for my soil blocks. I have found that gives me the best outcome. So that's what I use there. Today I'm going to be starting some warm season tender annuals, and some of those are zinnias. What I did with my zinnias, I have some from Blomma Farm that are just some special zinnias, and so I soaked those in, I have this soluble, can't pronounce it because I don't know how to speak English, seaweed powder. This is a powder and you can dilute it in water, and I soaked the seeds in this because it's supposed to give you a better rate of germination. So we shall see if that works. I do not know. But I decided I was going to try it because why not? I had the time yesterday. So I've soaked my seeds in that for 24 hours. And now I'm going to make my soil blocks, and then I will get out my seeds. So right now I'm going to make some soil blocks. A lot of times I use this soil blocker, which is my 3/4 blocker, which uses a lot less soil than this one. This one is a lot bigger. It makes 25 blocks. This, we'll show them side by side. This makes 20, this makes 25, but this uses less soil. I have the best luck at germination on these little ones, but the seedlings actually grow up pretty well, you believe it or not, in these little blocks. And I like to do soil blocks the best, one, because they save me space in there in my grow room, two, because they use less soil and I don't have to use containers, like the plastic containers and all the things. And with soil blocks, the little blocks air prune your roots, and so the roots don't get root bound, and it's easier to transplant out. You just kind of break apart those little blocks and you put them in the ground. And I typically will transplant out straight from these, except for a lot of the things I'm using in the pollinator garden, I had to bump up because I started those really early because I wanted those to be a lot bigger before they went out. A lot of times I can just put out really small seedlings, and I can't with the pollinator garden one, I want them bigger. One, because I'm hoping that the rabbits don't eat them all, and two, I'm going to do this, going to put them out in the front of my son and daughter-in-law's yard, and I want them a lot bigger out there so they're more likely to grow and not die. Okay, well, I made kind of a mess of my blocks, but I think they're going to work. So I typically use the smaller block, the 3/4 block. So I'm still kind of new at the Swift blocker, but I just thought these would be better. I might not even use this one tray. It was getting really bad there at the end. So these are melon zinnias from Blomma Farm. I have in here, and let me just show you. See? And shades of salmon in here from Blomma Farm. So these I definitely want to make sure I put in here. And then I don't know. I do have some of the ballerina zinnias from Johnny's. That's a new type of zinnia, and I was thinking about putting them in here, but I might also just do a tray, like a 128 tray. So we'll see about that. So I'm going to go ahead, kind of turn you down so you'll see how I'm doing the zinnias, putting them in the soil blocks. And also, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I only have 5 trays. And the reason I only have 5 trays is because I'm not really sure how I'm going to water these very well, because the soil blocks go all the way out to the edge. So I'm almost thinking I might have to, it's probably a good idea, take out 1 row of soil blocks. And I don't know if I should take it out in the middle or on the sides. Anyways. Yeah. But these are the only size that I have, and so I just have to kind of use what I have right now as far as the trays go. So that's my problem. That is my problem right now. Here I am seeding the soil blocks, the Swift Blocker soil blocks, with the zinnia seeds. Typically when I do that, I take my zinnia seed and I put it in the soil block, pointy side down, and then sometimes that little tail is left up in the air. That's how I seed soil blocks with zinnia seeds, even those small 3/4 inch soil blocks. But these are the zinnia seeds that have been soaked in the seaweed solution, so they're a little bit tougher to actually poke down into the soil blocks because they've been soaked, and so they're not quite as rigid. So it took me longer than I thought it was going to take me to seed all these soil blocks. But when I get to the 128 trays, I decide that I am not going to put each one in and poke it in pointy side down, because I do remember listening to the Dirt on Flowers. There was a podcast they did on zinnia seeds, and they all said that they just gave up doing this, poking the zinnia seed in. They just lay it flat and it's totally fine. So when I do my 128 trays, I just lay all those zinnia seeds, one in each one. Then I take this little yellow tool that I have and I just kind of bury them in the soil. So we'll see if that worked too, because I was not about to spend the time with all these zinnia seeds to do this. This was just taking way too long. As you can see, now I have a 128 tray, and so I've decided I'm going to pot up my, where are they? Oh, it's right here. My salmon, my Benary's Giant, salmon, and carmine. But I have a little test here. These 6. These 6 are zinnia, Johnny's ballerina zinnias that I just potted up, that I just started the seeds in this method. And so I put 6 in here, so that's going to be my little test to see which is better. And then, as you can tell, what I decided to do with these is just take out one row here so that I could water better. I just kept looking at it. I'm like, that's just probably not going to work. So that's why I did that. So I'm going to go ahead, but I did soak these as well. So, and the reason I did that is because these were old seeds. And of course, I never can see in the soil, so maybe this happens in the soil. I do not know. But hold on, let me show you. There are so many seeds in here that have already started germination, which is so cool. I can show them to you really well. Do you see these? All of these with little teeny white things coming out of them. They have already started to germinate, and they've only been soaking for 24 hours. I have a lot more in here. And actually, this group seems to be the one with the most germination. I think that's pretty cool. So maybe this does work, or maybe I just don't see it under the soil. So who knows? So let's get started. I'm going to pot all these up. I keep saying pot them up. You know what I mean. Stick them in the soil and get them to, I guess, finish germinating is really the word. I am going to go ahead and, so with the zinnias, don't know if I said this before, but the zinnia seed has a little point to it, and I just stick the point in. That's what I do. And sometimes it might have like a little tail, and the tail might stick out, but that's perfectly fine. It'll still germinate. So that's what I'm doing here. And then if I have a hard time getting it in, that's when I've used this. Like this one, some of them that have germinated aren't as, yikes, as hard as the others. And just kind of press it into the soil down in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a hose and water everything really good. All right, this is where I just gave up and started laying them out flat, in one in each little cell, and then pushing them in with my little tool that I'm using, and it went a lot quicker. All right, well, back here is what I did when my phone died and I couldn't show the rest of what was going on. So I did get to, right here, a tray of Oklahoma salmon zinnias, and then another tray of Oklahoma pink, and then this is a tray I think I was able to do before my phone died. And then also I've done some celosia in these trays. Johnny's has a new shimmer celosia plume. I've done that. And then a Jura salmon coxcomb. These are the zinnias that you all saw. And I think in trays, the only thing I did, other than the zinnias that you saw, oh, I did some cosmos. Did do some cosmos, double click pink, I think. Even though over here, I've got one succession going right there that I'll plant out as soon as I can, but I started another succession over here. So, Oh, and then I did marigolds and apples of Peru. I loved apples of Peru last year. Apples of Peru, you can actually cut. They make these little lanterns. They look like tomatillas. And you can strip the leaves and put those in bouquets. You can use those, they're pretty cool. But they're also a trap crop. So I did more. Last year I just tried them out and I only had a couple. So this year I did more. Apples of Peru. So I have those there. But I really liked them. They worked really well. And then I'll turn you around. All right, guys, look what I have left in the grow room. I kicked a whole lot of stuff out because we are getting nights that are not dipping too much, really not dipping below freezing. So all the dahlias, they have gotten kicked out. And I don't know, a lot of other stuff, but I still have my tomatoes in here. And tomatoes and cucumbers down there, the geraniums, peppers, nasturtium, the ginger and turmeric, and tithonium, and vinca, and coleus, lots of coleus. I really love all the colors. As you can tell, that's actually a sun coleus. Most coleus is shade, but that's actually a sun. And then these are the cosmos. Definitely ready to go out, but I have to wait a little bit longer. And then these are all that got planted today. And then obviously these little blocks are the 3/4 versus the bigger blocks that I did for the Swift blocker. These are all the seeds that I soaked in the seaweed water and then put them in the bigger blocks. And then over here, I did do the celosia in the smaller blocker. And then I have some mahogany splendor, which won't be cut till the end of the season. Basil, cinnamon basil, lemon basil, some aster, obviously not great germination, and then some ageratum. So that's what we've got going on in here. Trying to get my grow room up to 80 now that we've got the warmer stuff going on, but it's only 77. It'll get there. Wait till you see what all got kicked out of the grow room. Show you. All right, that is the 4th succession of sunflowers. They are hardening off so they can get planted out. Oh, and I'm super excited. I got 5 David Austin bare root roses. So those came in. I potted those up. I'm going to leave those in pots this year because I don't really know exactly what I want to do with them yet. So they're in pots. And I'm going to see how they do here in my zone. I'm sure I'll get black spot, but we'll just see how they do. Lots of dahlias. The lavender. The milkweed, it got kicked out a long time ago. Pansies have been out all winter. More milkweed. Dahlias, 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 dahlias. There's some lettuce, cauliflower, broccoli, coreopsis, marigold gems, and stuff like that. Verbena and sage over here. Look at the hoop house. This is the very first succession of sunflowers. Look how good they're looking. My onions are really starting to take off. These I started from seed in the fall, and they've just been overwintering in here. This on my alyssum over there. And then these right here are my parvulgum. This is a new seed for me for eucalyptus, and I really love it so far. I'm loving the color of the leaves of the parvulgum. And then there's my other eucalyptus right there that I started back in September. I'm pretty excited that I got quite a bit done. So I really didn't think I was going to get this much done because I was feeling pretty crummy, but It's been almost a week now. Pretty sure this was the flu, but you know, whatever. We didn't get tested and just going on about it. But hopefully we're on the upswing and we'll be getting the energy back here pretty soon. So every morning, the baby plants have to be watered. So that's what I'm about to do, is water all the baby. Well, these aren't actually babies yet because nothing has sprouted, because that's what I just planted or started yesterday. So I haven't even actually looked. I don't think anything has sprouted yet, but it's time to water all the babies. So I guess I'll just take you along. It is Wednesday and I have lots of germination on the salmon carmine group that I did soak. I did soak these seeds in the seaweed. And then this is my little test row. I have 2 already germinated of the ballerina zinnias that I have up in soil blocks. And then these are cosmos. Cosmos germinated. These are the ballerina. These are shades of salmon. These are ballerina. These are ballerina. So some of those are brown sticking up, so they actually have germinated. It's hard for you to tell. Just came in here to water and I was quite surprised. So let me water. As far as germination rates go, there's definitely a marked difference. This one was soaked in the seaweed and this one was not. This one has one popping through already, and as you can see, this one has several.